do as sort of talking about things and getting people to express their feelings and all of that, and we do all of that. And you may also think, well, so, you know, how is that helpful at all? Because I have this thing, you know, I have this disease, I have these symptoms. No amount of talking is going to change those things. I actually saw somebody this morning who said, you can't help me because you can't give me what I need. And I said, well, what do you need? And she said, $1 million, my youth, and a good-looking man. So there may be a few of you good-looking men out there that I might be able to hook up with her, but the other two, I'm pretty much out of choices. So, but there is something else, and that's what I mean, is that the realities of the situation we find ourselves in are sometimes challenging, to say the least. And I can't even pretend to know what it's like for you to deal with Parkinson's in your life, however it happens to appear in your life. But where I work is in the space between the person and their experience, the space between the person and what is. And there's a lot of room to work in there, to come to terms with it, to find a way to work around it, to live around it. You know, if you take the example of, if you've ever had someone move into your house for a period of time that you really would have rather not had living with you, you know, your spouse's long-lost cousin who doesn't bathe often and is kind of loud and obnoxious and parks his car on the lawn or whatever. And, you know, you have some options when those situations happen. And the options may not include getting rid of this guy, right? You can constantly be upset and angry. You can constantly be bumping into him, trying to use the bathroom at the same time, you know, constantly crossing paths with this person who's driving you nuts, and it'll drive you nuts, right? But there is another possibility, right? You find when this person, what their rhythm is, and you find a way around it, right? They're up early, you get up later. You know, they're in the living room, you're in the dining room. You find a way to kind of work around it to make your life as comfortable as you can in the circumstances you find yourself in. And this is, while a lot tougher, the same idea in dealing with any sort of chronic or progressive illness, is finding a way to live around the edges of what's already here. And you can find, I think you can find great comfort in the fact that you can look around you right now and see people who have found different ways to live around what they have in a variety of different ways that are pretty functional. So it's possible. There's wiggle room. So the whole idea here, I think, is to sort of not get caught up too much in the fact that you have this illness and therefore you will suffer. That those two things, the stress is not in that illness, that there is some room to move. Does that mean that there is no suffering if you just look at it the right way? No, probably not. We're human beings, and we always find things to worry about and struggle over and suffer about. But my point is that there is room in between to kind of relate to what you have in a different way. You might think about it like this. So how many of you have thought about gravity in the last 24 hours? Okay. Okay, we got one person, good. Let's be maybe an engineer or something like that. And yet, it's a force that we reckon with constantly, right? We struggle against it, right? There are times when it would be better if it wasn't around, like when we fall, or when we look in the mirror and things are not exactly where they used to be, right? But how is it, you know, despite the fact that it has some real drawbacks, we don't really think about it very much, do we? We just find our way to live with it, right? If we want to move faster, we put on the roller skates or get on the bicycle or get in the car. We don't just sort of sit at home and get angry because there's gravity and it's hard to move, right? When was the last time you woke up in the morning and looked around and said, darn, I'm still stuck to the earth, right? So you came to terms with it. You came to some degree of acceptance. And that's a large part of what I'm really talking about here. And acceptance, I use that word very cautiously. I don't take it lightly at all, because acceptance has a lot of stuff attached to it, you know. Somebody has probably told you at more than one occasion, well, just accept it. You know, well, just accept it. You know, can you feel that sort of anger over whatever it is that someone might have told you to just accept? It's not a just, you know, whether it's illness or depression or anxiety or anything else, just accept it seems very disrespectful, among other things. So this is not a simple, easy thing that I'm suggesting, and I know that. But accepting that what's here is here, that's a different story. Accepting that in this moment I have this particular experience, big difference, right? You know, if someone said, you know, I work a lot with people with chronic pain, and so my analogies fall in that realm, and I apologize if you can't completely relate to that, but you know, if I talk to someone who's had unrelenting back pain for years and years, and we kind of get focused down on, could you, you know, whatever it is you're feeling, could you get through the next 5 seconds with this pain, just as it is right now, even though it's a 12 on the 1 to 10 scale, which I hear on a regular basis, so it's not that unusual. You know, a person will usually say, well, yeah, but if I have to put up with this for the next 20 years, I don't, you know, it's like they go on and on and on. And I'm not, you know, disrespecting the fact that those are all realistic concerns. But in this moment, all that needs to be done is to be dealt with in this moment. And the next moment will take care of itself when we get there. So we spend an awful lot of our times not where we are. Guaranteed, everyone in this room, including me, has left this room since I started talking, right? You know, is anybody who's been on me 100%, never missed a single nuance, didn't think about anything else for the whole time I've been talking? Probably not. Because my mom's not here. If she was here, she'd tuned in. Or at least she'd say she was, even if she wasn't. So no, our minds don't like to sit still. And so where can they go? Well, the only places they can sort of wander off to is someplace other than where we are, right? And sometimes that's fine. You know, you have to plan ahead. You have to think about what you're going to do next, what your next choice is, where you're going to go, what your plan is for the future, whatever it might be.